Hey everybody, a subscriber sent me an image and asking me how I would approach a mirror box look that he did, I don't know how long ago, but it looks like this right there. And he was wondering how I would approach building that, and is it possible to do it as a template format so you don't have to keep repeating the design over and over again. So let's see if that's possible. Are we ready? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, this is dedicated to photography and as a photo artist, pushing ourselves out of the box creatively. Okay, this is gonna be a good one because we're gonna push ourselves out of the box here. And that is, I had to write this down, Roger, let's see, Salvinson, hopefully I'm saying that name correctly. He gave me permission to use his name. One of the subscribers sent me, I'm gonna show you like 3 of the images, but he said how I would approach on building what he called a square, square mirror box effect. How could we do that in Photoshop? Could it be saved as a template? So let me show you some examples here. Let's jump into what he sent me. Okay, here's an example of what he was talking about. This is called a mirror box effect that he designed. This is just one of many that he sent me with his permission to use it. And then this is his wife, which he said was okay. So he used it as a background creatively. But he also did something like this where he embedded an image in there and it's like reflected if that wasn't a mirror box. And he wanted to know how I would approach in building this, and is it possible to maybe create a template design layout so we don't have to constantly, redesign this all the time. So the answer is, can I create that into a template? And the answer is absolutely not. This does not work at all in Photoshop. Okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, let's take a look at it. Ready? Let's jump into Photoshop. Okay, so here in Photoshop, and again, if you've been following me a lot, I just double click on my workspace to navigate to the image I want to work with. And this is what I created. I'm going to show you how to build this in a minute, but this is my template. So I'm going to select that, open it up. And this is the design. And again, I'll talk about this more in depth, how I built that. And then that's all I'm going to do is go right here. I actually put this together where it says double click and then place image. So I'm going to double click here. This opens up the smart object layer. I'm going to go to file drop down menu. And then I'm going to choose place embedded. So it's about halfway down. Navigate to find the image I'm going to work with. I'm just going to grab this image right here and select place. Make sure it's filling in the entire area, which means, if the image came in like that, I would just readjust the size and make sure it's covering the entire area right there. Enter on the keyboard. And now just close out of that tab. And it'll ask me, do I want to save and update that? Yes. And then watch what happens. Takes a few seconds, and there is my mirrored background, right? Set up with that embedded image right there. So can it be done as a template? Absolutely. So let's actually walk you through on how I built this template. Are we ready? Let's do it. Okay, let's jump back into Photoshop. And this is the image I just did. I'm going to close out of that. I'm not going to save that, so no on that one. So here's how I approached on building this. Number one is, what size do I want to start with? So I went to the file drop-down menu here and chose new. And then I did a 20-inch right here. You can see the settings right here, 20-inch by 20-inch through 300 res, in case this is something I would like to print, just to be on the safe side. If you're never going to print, and this is for social media, then you could reduce the size and the resolution for yourself. I'm just going to choose create right there. And let me just make this a bit smaller. So there is our background, started at 20-inch by 20-inch, 300 as a resolution. Now I'm going to duplicate the layer by doing Control-J, Command-J on a Mac. And now what I want to do is resize my canvas. So what I'm going to do is go to the image drop-down menu and come down to canvas size. Now, here's where you're going to have to experiment a little bit because it's really going to be based on your size and resolution. I want to make sure I'm set to relative right there. Make sure my interface right here, the anchor points look like that, not like this. Make sure your default should be like this. I'm going to change inches here to percent. And this is where you have to play. I'm going to put in 50% for my height and the width there. And now when I click on OK, you can see what it did. You can see what right here, what it did on this layer here. So if I'm going to hide the background temporarily, this is what it did, it expanded the canvas. If I felt that was not enough or too much, I would undo this and go back to that same dialog box and readjust my percentage. So again, this is sort of a trial and error to get what you want to get. And then once you have that done, we're going to move to the next step. And that is, I'm going to select this layer right here. And I'm going to do on the edge right there, a right mouse click. And I'm going to choose to convert to smart object. That's really important to do that first. Now what I'm going to do is I need 4 more layers because this is representing the middle. I need something to represent the top, bottom, left, and right. So I need 4 more layers. What I want to do is this. Hold the Control key down, Command on a Mac, and I'm going to tap on the letter J 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gave me 4 more layers. It is so important to understand that when you do Control J or Command J off a layer that's a smart object, these layers are actually linked together. Okay, and I'll prove that to you. I'm going to come to this one. Doesn't matter which one you choose. And if I double click on this to open up the smart object, and then if I go over to, say, File drop-down menu, and I'm going to come down here to Place Embedded, I'm going to go find an image. I'm going to use a good reference image like this flower, which will make sense in a few minutes. And then make sure it's filling the entire space. Enter on the keyboard. And now when I close out of this, it'll ask me to update this. Yes. And watch what happens. Now, again, it takes a few seconds. And notice that all the other layers have the same image because they are linked. If I did this, I'm going to select this layer, and I did a right mouse click, and I chose New Smart Object via Copy. So I click on that. So I created a new layer right there. If I double click on this one, and I go, you know what? I didn't want that. I wanted, let's go to the File drop-down menu. And again, come down to Place Embedded. I'm just going to pick a different image. I'll go with that one. And again, enter the keyboard to accept that. Close out of the tab. Yes, update that. And I just want you to see when it updates it, it only updated that layer by itself. Because when you choose to create a new object via copy, this now is independent. So they're not linked to the, hopefully that makes sense. It's just not linked to the other ones. But if you just do, like I just did, Control J or Command J on a Mac, these right here are all linked. So this hopefully will make more sense. I need a reference image like the flower to help me design my template here. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to rush through this a bit. The very top here, this layer, I'm just going to double click and call it top, just for a reference for myself. And I'm going to do Control T, Command T on a Mac. I'm going to hold the Shift key down so it allows me to move up and down. And when I move that up, of course, that doesn't match with the image down here. You can see this right here. So what I need to do is maybe flip this. So I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to flip that vertically. And so I get that. So now I got a match. If you take a look at the petals right there, how they match, that's what I would see again in the mirror. Now, with this still active, I'm going to hold the Control key down, and that would be Command on a Mac. And I'm going to go to this corner here, right here, click and drag like this. And this corner right here, same thing. I'm holding that Control key down or Command on a Mac. So this is skewing, I have to go back there. I'm skewing the image to fit. And I would zoom in to make sure I got that done really well. And then enter the keyboard. You can see if I zoom in on this, I've got a little bit of a space there. So maybe with my move tool, just tap down once a little bit to make sure it's filled in. But again, I would zoom in and make any kind of adjustment you would need. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to go over to the next layer over here, and I'll just type in the word bottom. And again, I'm going to do Control T, Command T on a Mac. And this time, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this, hold the Shift key down and click and drag like that. That's just another way. So again, if you notice here, the petals are matching. And then what I want to do here is, again, hold the Control key down, Command on a Mac, go to the outer corners, and you're skewing this to match it up the way you want it to be. So I'm just going to make Sure, I got those corners there, and then again, enter on the keyboard to accept that. And now I got to do the left side and right side. So I'm going to double click there. We'll just call this left. And let's pull this down a bit so we can see that. I'll do Control T, Command T on a Mac. And I think I'm just going to hold that Shift key and flip it like this. So again, notice how the pedals are matching, just like if it was on a mirror. Again, I'm going to hold that Control key down, Command on a Mac, grab the outer corners, and we're going to position it where it needs to be positioned. And again, I would zoom in to make sure this would be perfect. But again, just I want you guys to see how this was developed. And then the last one here, so I'm going to go to this layer. We'll call it the right side, or just right for short. And then do the same concept here. Let me move this over. Control T, Command T on a Mac. And I'm going to hold that Shift key down, click, and drag across like that. And then again, I'm going to hold the Control key down, Command on a Mac, go to the outer corners here, and we're just going to skew that into place. And again, just as a reminder, I would zoom in really close to make sure you covered everything really well. Okay, so that's the start. Now, this is optional, what I'm going to share with you, and that is I'm going to go to the very top here, that layer. So this is my top. Let me turn it on and off. And I'm going to add an effect. I'm going to come down here to Effects here, and I'm going to choose let's do an inner glow. So this is what I'm choosing. And then when the dialog box opens up, let me move this over. You can see I have this set to multiply as a blending mode. Let me click on the color. I had the color to black right there. And blending mode was multiply. And you could play the opacity. You can see what's happening at the very top as I move the opacity back and forth. And this is a judgment call on how far you want to go, like the choke, like this. Well, I don't like that, so I'm going to push back on the choke, but the size of this, you can see what's happening. So hopefully when I hit the preview button before, after, you can see that adds a little like shade in there. And again, it's totally optional if you decide to add any kind of effect in there. It could even be an outline if you wanted to. But now that I have the effect there, I want to add it to all the other ones. So here's all I have to do. I'm going to hold the Alt key down, Option on a Mac. I click on this. So Alt key down, Option on a Mac, click and drag down with the mouse, let go. Click and drag with the mouse, let go. Click and drag with the mouse, let go. And one more. Click and drag with the mouse, let go. And again, as I was doing that, I was holding the Alt key down. That would be Option on a Mac. So what I'm doing is copying all those effects to the other layers, so I don't have to individually go to those layers and actually open up that dialog box. Now what I'm going to do is select this layer here, the right one, scroll to the top, hold the Shift key down so they're all selected. Control G, Command G on a Mac. I'm just going to type in there by double clicking and just call this my sides. I'm going to keep my head organized. I don't need the background anymore, so I can get rid of that. And now I'd like to make this into a template. So here's what I would do. First thing I would do is double click here to open this up. And then I'm going to, this is the Smart Object layer, I'm going to delete that. So now I see the white box. I'm going to close out of the tab, choose yes. So now you'll notice that when this accepts it, now there we go. So now what I want to do is go to the File drop-down menu, come down to Save As, and I'm going to choose, I'm just going to call this, we'll just call this my test. And we don't want PSD. What we want is, now I'm going to put this in caps. It doesn't have to be in caps, but PSD T. It's the T that makes it a template format. So now when I choose, and again, it doesn't have to be in caps. I'm just doing it so it stands out. So when I choose Save, and I'm going to save it in my sample folder here, sample images, click on Save, and click on OK, so we're done. And now I'm going to close out of this. Now, that's all I have to do is double click, find that template, there it is, double click on it so you notice that it now says Untitled, because again, template format is a structure where it's really a duplicate of the template, but it forces you to save it as a different name so you're not affecting that original template. And now that's all I have to do is go here, and I might have put in like some description here, like double click, place embedded image, so you know what to do. And you could even right mouse click. Could have color coded that before I saved it as a template. But again, that's just polishing up the template. Just double click. And I'm going to go to File drop-down menu. Let's do a different image here. Let's go to Place Embedded. And what if I use, I'll just use a stock image I've used before for this landscape. And again, look at the aspect ratio. Well, it's not square. Well, that's fine because we can just move this, say right here, and I'm going to grab the corner here and just adjust this. Let me pull back so we can see this. And then again, I just find that this mirror box tends to work better if it's actually a square and not a rectangle. So I can force my image that's a different aspect ratio to fit that square, enter on the keyboard. And now when I close out of this, update this, yes, and then let it do its thing. Just takes a few seconds. And bam, there you go. So back to Roger, and that is Roger. Hopefully you've learned something here, or anybody, hopefully you've learned something. If you could do me a favor, and that is like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and hit that notification bell. Every week I put up a video which comes out on a Wednesday. You'll get notified on that. So again, I like the concept of taking something like this and making it into a template. So now if I want to reuse this over and over again, there you go. So that's how I would approach it. And again, let's try this. I gave you the steps on how to build it, so take your time, practice it, and use whatever images you would like to use. If you're doing could be a lifestyle image, it could be a still life image, landscape, street photography, whatever. It's just a different way of presenting your image. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get that camera out. Let's think creatively, and I mean literally think creatively out of the box. Until next time, see ya.